Welcome, everybody. And we are live with somebody you've seen with us before, somebody who has a great way of saying things and calling it like he sees it. We've got Bear Independent today on. He's been joining us about every other month or so, and life's been keeping him busy from what I understand. And of course, we're here with John Willis, who's had a fantastic week so far, right, John?
Yeah, I mean, every day is good. I don't have bad days.
Yeah.
Minor annoyances here and there, but nothing to complain about.
Yeah, same. And I'm Nicole Thoughts from Living Free in Tennessee, and we're just here to have a fireside chat. So if y'all want to get any questions in, please put the first few words in all caps, and I'll get them into the conversation. Also, if you would do me a favor, share this out with your networks. If you know anybody who should be in on this conversation, we will probably talk about current events. We're going to talk about building resilience into your life. I think we might talk about Christianity a little bit today after this morning and a few other things. So plus, I'm hoping Bear can tell us all about what he's going to talk about at Self-Reliance Festival. So we'll get into that. You know, you totally have that speech written already, right, Bear?
Yeah, it's right here.
That's where mine is too.
So I don't do things that way.
Yeah.
I maybe a 3x5 index card with bullet points. By the way, hello to everybody in the chat and everybody watching. I apologize that my voice sounds like I've been eating gravel for the last 2 days. It's not because I want to sound like a cool guy. It's because I've been yelling at people in refuge training responder 1, 2, and 3 for 22 hours over the last 2 days. And so now I sound like this. But I don't, much to the detriment of some of my administrators, I don't write speeches. I don't do any of that. I have a 3x5 index card with bullet points on it, and I have been blessed by the Father that I can talk about pretty much anything for however long you want me to talk about it, as long as I know something about it. So what we're going to talk about at Self-Reliance Festival, which everybody should be going to because it's an awesome networking opportunity. The cost of admission is superb compared to a lot of these other things that happen around the country, and there's excellent people there. We're talking about your context and preparedness, not to get overwhelmed with the 10% context that is preparedness, because for me, preparedness is perpetuating normalcy for the people that you love. The implied task there is to establish normalcy. And a lot of people have never established normalcy. Therefore, they don't have normalcy to perpetuate through preparedness. So in a nutshell, like, what should a good life look like? Right? So that it's worth surviving the end of the world as we know it. Like, otherwise, we're just pissing into the wind, you know? And so that's what I'm going to be talking on. I think you guys give me, 6 hours I'm allowed to talk?
At
Time.
least
I think you could hold them for 6 hours. I think people would listen.
It's a big campus, man. Do what you want.
And we're going to be training there. The link is on your website. We're going to be training there on Friday. So that's going to be awesome as well for people who want to come to a refuge training event. I'll be there training on Friday as well. I'll be walking around, meeting people, talking to people. And Refuge will have a booth up on Friday and Sunday as well. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're excited about that. It's the Responder 1 training. Hopefully we'll get you back for Responder 2 in the future. The morning class is sold out, although I'm going to email those folks and see if anybody wants to change times. And there are 20 seats left in the afternoon class. It's 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Includes your lunch. So get there at noon and eat lunch. But that's the course Friday before Self-Reliance Festival. And then you can just make a weekend of it. Come hang out, learn from a bunch of really cool people. I'm super excited. I'm always excited about the event. It's my job to be excited about the event. But it seems like every time some theme comes out, and this time we've got a lot around off-grid living, which can increase your stability through whatever happens with the power grids, but also a lot on getting better at being answerable for your own bread, which is one of the things I'm hoping you'll touch on is some of your CEO stuff, because I've loved your CEO series on YouTube. And I think the best way, if you're out there wondering, how do I start something, or you started something and you're feeling like it's not as successful as I want it to be, the best thing you can do is talk to people who are more successful than you are. Find out what they do. And when they say something, really hear it, really absorb it, because It's really easy when somebody says, maybe you should try going on TikTok, for example. To in your head say, TikTok is stupid, I'm not going there, or the Chinese own TikTok, so I'm not going there. But if that person is making $100,000 a month on TikTok, maybe like take a look at that for a second. Make your decision.
Something else with the Friday class. When you come to the Friday class, we typically let you guys hang out afterwards. My place is open. All of my people are here. There's a lot of people. So we can have really good conversations in a much smaller group, because once you get here Saturday, Sunday, there's 600, 700, 1,000 people here sometimes. Whereas that Friday night deal, you've got 50, 60, 70 people, and we just sit around and talk. And it can be anything. It can be conspiracy theory. It can be whatever happens to be the theme, but it just rolls, and we hang out and usually, have a meal at the same time.
Well, and to that point, John, I hear from so many people, Bear, you just don't understand. I can't find good people. Go talk to people.
They're probably not at the bar.
And you don't have to fall in love with everybody.
Yeah.
They don't have to know what color your panties are. It's a first date, right? Just go talk to people.
I promise you, there are people that will be here that I don't know how, but they don't like me. And the place is big enough. It's big enough that you could be here and never have to see me.
It's really encouraging to see the growth too. I mean, that's the market determines value, right?
Yeah, right.
Hey, we should do an event. Well, if nobody comes 2 or 3 times in a row, maybe not a good idea, right?
Right.
People keep coming, and if it keeps growing, you're on to something. And having I've been there one time already. I'm definitely looking forward to being there a second time. I'm encouraged by what y'all are doing. I'm endeavoring to do something similar this fall.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't have all the details yet, so please nobody email me for details because it exists in my brain only. But we're endeavoring to do something like that as well, because I've seen the success that you've had, and it inspires me to do something similar as well. So, and people need these regional meetups to go and meet people in their area and quit bitching about I can't find people. Go meet people. There they are. How do I know they're into preparedness? They're at Self-Reliance Festival. How do I know they're like-minded? Go talk to them.
Plus, when they turn this thing off, and how many times have you been face to face with somebody and we thought that person was something, and in person they're not that at all, right? So it is important to look them in the eyes and shake hands and actually have that conversation. I got conspire, right? I got that from you. Conspire means to breathe together. I say that all the time, and it's very important.
I wonder how long, right? Always create that sense of urgency in your marketing, CEO Bear. I wonder how long we're going to be able or allowed to do this as well. You know what I mean? Because at what point does it become cost prohibitive for people to travel, cost prohibitive for people to participate? At what point, the state troopers are like, "Das papers, please." I don't think we're there yet, but I do think that it's important to act while you have the opportunity to act. And if you have the opportunity to have a year or 2 years or 10 years worth of context with somebody as compared to a month's worth of context with somebody, that's even more powerful, right? And Pastor Joe, Viking Preparedness, says all the time, you're going to end up in a group. People end up in groups, right? Naturally, whenever there's a disaster, whenever there's a civilizational failure, whatever happens, people group up. So wouldn't you want to have some input in where you are right now, what group you're in, what your role is? Do I like these people? Do I not like them? As compared to just ultimately ending up in a group anyway. And I've done that lone wolf bullshit for years and years and years. And guess what? It's completely unsustainable. And if you might be thinking, well, I'm not in a group right now. Do you have a wife? Do you have kids? Do you have friends? Do you have loved ones? You're in a group. Whether you call it a group or not, you're in a group. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's funny because you would think traveling away from my state to another state to go to an event, no way that I'm going to meet people. And I can tell you every time I go to a preparedness event, I meet people who I've never met before, and they are 100% from my state. They might even be from my county. That's happened a time or two. It's you're literally next door. I've lived here 15 years and I never met you.
Yep.
Sweet. Let's go do something. And that's, I mean, I've been talking about this for a long time. It's like, you just got to get out. I don't care if you're an introvert, extrovert, no vert at all, just go. And you will find somebody you can talk to. Thanks for the super chat, Kermode Bear. I assume that's on your channel, John.
Probably Bear.
Oh, are we streaming on Bears? I didn't know we were
Oh,
streaming.
I don't. Yeah.
No, I don't think we are. I would love to stream on Bears channel. We should talk about that. Lone Wolf. Yeah. Next time we will set that up. Okay. Yeah. Lone Wolf is bullshit. It's a fiction. Like, you'll do fine for a little while till people figure out you're alone. And then you're responsible for 24/7 watch for your own self-defense. You have to cook and grow and preserve all your food. If you break your leg, you still got to get up and do all of the things to take care of your livestock if you have it, or yourself, and repair any holes in your roof. Like, it's just not going to work.
The thing is, as a lone wolf, you ultimately, whether you want to admit it or not, you're much more of a consumer than a producer, right? And so what happens when there's nothing to consume, or there's a lot less to consume, right? Say from, on the free market, right? That now puts you in a very poor position ideologically, that now I got to go consume somebody else's stuff. And that could very much so make you an enemy of a bunch of very good people, right? And, and a lot of people love like SHTF tactics, man. For my combat, team inside of my tribe. Okay, cool. How do you shoot, move, communicate, sustain as an individual? You don't. It's not possible, right? And so it doesn't matter how good you are, because quantity has a quality all of its own, right? There's one of you and 20 dudes are shooting at you and maneuvering on you, you're done for. And the thing is, we all these movies and prepper novels and all this stuff, like, it always comes down to gunfights. But if you take the same concepts and you apply them to life, like, as an individual, it's much harder for you to maneuver, to make the moves you need to make in order to, accomplish the objective, because there's nobody to cover you. There's nobody to communicate with. There's nobody who can help you sustain. It just doesn't exist. So,
well, plus it's easier to make a video when it's just you in the woods, right? I mean, really, if that's the genre, it's easy to make the video and put content out every day when you don't have to involve other people. It also, a lot of it, you don't have to have comm gear and night vision gear and all this other shit, right? It's the bushcraft. And there's definitely something to the bushcraft guy, but most bushcraft guys, they definitely don't live a life that I want to live. I mean, if you look at beyond the content and beyond them standing at the trade show, I don't want to do any of the shit they're doing.
Well, and I don't want to eat grubs for the rest of my life, and
Right.
either. Like, I just ate ribeye that comes from a cow. Very rarely do I find cows wandering in the woods that want me to eat them. And if I have to, it's kind of like getting into gunfights. If I have to get into a gunfight, I've done 1,000 other things wrong before I got to this point. If I have to go build an Abraham Lincoln log cabin in the woods with my Mora bushcraft knife, I've done 1,000 other things wrong before we got to this point. It doesn't mean they aren't useful skills to have, because they absolutely are useful skills to have. Like firecraft and knife craft and all that, being able to move stealthily in the woods and all that, super important for sure. But I don't want to have to bet my life on it. I'd much rather not bet my life on it. I'd much rather hang out with people that I love, do meaningful things, have meaningful relationships, and eat freaking cows that don't run away from me. So,
Or sheep, which are easier to catch.
yeah, they're louder.
Because I'm intimidated by the size of the cow. They're huge.
Oh, pocket cows, Nicole. We got to get you pocket cows. I got they're not that big. They're like
Really?
500 pounds. We specifically got them because me and a buddy can butcher them out without any special equipment whatsoever. As compared to like a full-size beef cow, that's
Tractor.
a lot of work. So
Are they the Highlands or the Zebus, or which ones?
they're Zebu. They look like mini Brahmas.
Yep.
And they're super easy to keep, man. They're just like big sheep. So
Yeah. Well, I'm loving the sheep. I'm not even a year in yet on that. And I don't know why I didn't start this a decade ago. So I tried goats. I tried everything, pigs, all of it. Sheep are great.
Yeah. Oh, sure. What breed did you get?
I have St. Croix as the primary, and I do have 2 sort of rescue Katahdin females. So we've been getting St. Croix Katahdin mixes out of them.
That's cool. That's cool. We've got 26 Katahdin right now, and I'm probably going to be eating some and giving some away because 26 is a little more to have. But we went from 12 to 26 in 10 days because they all lambed at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'll take it. It's awesome. So
cool. Okay, we got a question here. How does everyone feel about the president being in Ukraine and not Ohio?
I mean, first of all, is he even the president? Like, we could go there. No, in name only. Second of all, are you surprised? I'm not even a little bit surprised. And third, does he know he's in Ukraine? Like, is any?
That's a very good question. Yeah. Okay. Second, Bear, will you be bringing Bob to the FRS? I think he meant SRF Reliance. I'm sure he meant SRF and it was a typo.
I believe so, but I don't know so. And it kind of illustrates a larger point. Refuge has grown so much in the last 3.5 years that I have no idea what Bob's doing. I don't know. It's not my job to know what Bob's doing, unless we're at our weekly executive meeting, at which point he tells me all the things that I need to know, and then we move on from there. Bob is Chief Operating Officer at Refuge, and Bob's plate is full. And he's a young guy. He's 26, 27. And he's a killer, man. He's just absolutely awesome. But I don't know what Bob's doing. I know, and we've grown to the point where I know I need to be in Camden, Tennessee on these dates. And when I'm there, this is what I'm doing. I was literally texting with Katie Lynn, who's one of our administrators, earlier today. And I was like, who's going to Tennessee? And she's like, don't worry about it. This is where you're sleeping. This is what you're doing. Roger that. Thanks. Because 3 years ago, this piece of shit barn back here was where Fairfax came from, right there. An hour a week, bro. And we're up to 8,000 square foot right now. And this year, we will be building another 12 to 20,000 square foot of warehouse just to hold inventory. That's the plan. And so I don't know if Bob's going to be there. I think he's going to be there, but don't get mad if he's not there because it's not my department. So.
Yep, 100%. Okay. Let's talk about some things here that happened. So Bear saw this. I've been talking about John Willis about this. I got an email first thing this meeting saying that somebody tried to go to selfreliancefestival.com and we had been reported to Norton as a dangerous site, as an unsafe site. And so I looked. At first, I'm like, well, that's weird. Do I have a plugin that's out of date or something? And maybe it's just Norton's right. Nope. Found out to get on this list, you get reported by somebody. So some Karen reported us as unsafe. And I decided we are 100% unsafe. We are unsafe because we get together whether the government wants us to or not to. We are unsafe because we're helping people learn skills that they would rather we forget. We are unsafe because we are helping more and more small communities spring up all over the country and internationally of people who know how to work together to endure through things. So that makes the government powerless to control us. So I guess we're unsafe. What do you guys think?
I would suspect that it takes more than one person to get us on that list. So it's probably a group of people that got together, and it probably has nothing to do with us at all. It most likely is some outside influence trying to more divide and create, less strength in numbers. But who knows? Are we still on there, or are we now off of the list?
I've put an application in and I don't know yet. I'll hear I haven't heard from the web guy about if we've gotten off that list or not. But guys, if you see that warning, you can go through it. I had the web guy make sure there was no malware. There is not malware on the site. If you're really uncomfortable, email me, Nicole@livingfreeintennessee.com, and we can manually process your ticket another way if you're uncomfortable going there.
So I have a confession. It was me.
It was you.
And it's a phishing scam. I'm just trying to get everybody's data when they come to your website.
Yep.
The Nigerian prince that I'm passing it along to, you may have gotten his emails, but that was me. I apologize.
Or the email, I have bad news for you. I've accessed your web camera. I get those all the time. They're down to asking for $77 instead of $1,700 now.
You too, huh? You guys got a lot of
always, man.
Well, it'd be really embarrassing if that got out.
Yeah, yeah.
Me sitting here like this.
Wow. Yeah. I think when somebody does something like that, or a group of Karens is weaponized against you, that's a clear indication that you're doing something right. Right? Like one should not aspire to be approved of by everyone, because undoubtedly somebody's opinion inside of that everyone is bullshit, right? I don't want to be relevant or pertinent to everyone. There's large swaths of people that the best way I'm able to love them is from afar. I don't want anything to do with those people. I don't want or need their approval. I don't want them in my life, right? And so this is a whole concept as far as niching down and niching down and niching down, right? Like, who's your target audience? And an audience, whether that be like for content creation, or be a client-based customer base, or it be a group of people that you decide you want to spend the rest of your life with doing badass stuff, right? So the more you niche down, the more alignment you have. The more alignment you have, the more badass shit you can do together, which is awesome. So the more niched down you are, the more valuable those connections are. The bigger your circle is, the less valuable inherently those connections are, because there's more of them, and you can only tend so many of those connections. It's like if you had a 5,000 square foot garden that you didn't have the time to go weed all the weeds out of the garden, is that going to be more productive or less productive than a 100 square foot garden that you could tend every day and everything's perfect, right? And so one should not aspire to have gross approval across the scale. Like, screw that shit. There's people who behave in certain ways. I don't want them to approve of me, right? I would take that as a negative indicator for me. So if the Karens swamped your website and reported you, good.
Yeah,
they
it's dilution.
Shoot an azimuth and figure out which direction they're going to F off in.
Yep. Dilution. It just dilutes you when you have too many people around it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not seeking their approval, but I think it's in bad taste to show your jealousy by reporting people, but that's just my Gen X.
To imply that you were seeking their approval. I would work to the people in the chat as far as life lessons Bear has learned. I don't want everybody's approval, and neither should you, because a bunch of people are full of shit. I don't need them to approve.
If you love what I'm saying, I promise you will disagree with something in a very short amount of time. And if you saw something that you didn't like, stick around, look at some other stuff. I promise I said something that does make sense also.
Yeah, I think that I finally took on the lesson of stopping caring what other people thought, John, from you. Because I was making some business decision early on when we first met. I was like, should I do this? You're like, why do you care what I think? I was like, oh, that's a good point. I know how my business runs. That was the day it really came. You know, like sometimes you're not ready for messages. I was ready for that message that day.
Well, the people doing it, right? They don't. Maybe it's intentional. I believe that everything's much more insidious than it actually appears to be, or whatever is putting them in motion. But when we focus on that, it detracts from what we are able to do. And the more time we put into when we operate in negativity, you have, no matter what, you have more negativity coming back to you. And when we operate in the positive, you're going to have rewards and things are going to come to you, and you might not understand them, but it is the fact. That is the reality. When you operate in positivity, other positivities are coming to you. So you just have to decide. And I do use the negative, as a weapon sometimes, but you get caught there and not realize that you're too far over that direction.
That's a good words of caution. The same time this happened, I have started hearing from people that recommendation is not to help us promote the event because all of the non-Christians are going to Tennessee.
At the same time that morning, the morning we heard this, we had people like, hey, can we have church on Sunday?
Do we have a service Sunday, which we will?
Yes, you're
Sure.
elected. Yes, great idea. Let me know what time that's going to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we do. We have many people from many different backgrounds and different religions all in one place who align around one thing. We realize it's messed up out there and we want to do something different and we want to take ownership for our futures and help each other. That's where we're at. And I know that sounds very kumbaya, but we have to learn, those of us, I'm in this one, don't know enough about self-defense, need to get up on that. Other people need to learn how to grow food. Other people need to find people near them who they can just interact with and form communities around. Other people want to learn, how to start a business. There are so many things, and none of that is which God do you worship or how do you worship God. That's not what we're talking about there.
As Americans, we have God-given constitutionally protected rights, right? And one of those is freedom of association. We get to pick and choose who we spend time with, and that's really valuable, right? You don't, the way I work is you don't get to tell me shit, right? Like that's it. Barry, you have to. No, I don't. Watch me. I'm gonna do that.
Watch me not have to.
You just told me to do now, right? Because you pointed your finger. You have to. Negative.
Literally, even if it's good for me, I'm literally going to do the opposite.
Exactly right. I'm running the other direction, right? And so we have freedom of association, and people can pick and choose who they spend time with, who they spend money with, who they learn from, and that's wonderful. But it's interesting to me, the concept that should this be, and I believe what y'all are saying, but should this be a group of Christians saying, don't go to Self-Reliance Festival, the non-Christians are there? Well, Matthew 22:36, what is the
want to save us?
In all the Torah? Master, Rabbi, what's the greatest command in all the word? What should we do? There are two. The first is you should love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, with everything you got. Deuteronomy 6, verse 5. And the second is like unto it, love your neighbor as yourself. Leviticus 19, verse 18. On this hangs all the Torah and the prophets. Everything that's been written down thus far in that book, all of that is based on love God with everything you got, love your neighbor as yourself. And so it's not like you're doing abominations in your front yard during Self-Reliance Festival. You know what I mean? Like the Christians got to get all upset about, they're burning children to Molech in John's front yard. Like that's not happening. Believe me, I've been there. That's not happening. And it comes down to critical points of agreement, right? Like what can we agree on? I think we should all agree, regardless of who we worship or how we worship or if we worship at all, we can all agree we need people. We need to be self-sufficient. We need to be self-reliant. We need to train. We need to form meaningful relationships. We need to do meaningful work. We need to take the opportunity to network and come together. Like, that's all critical points of agreement. And you could throw the baby out with the bathwater with that and not go because it's not sanctioned by the conservative Baptists or whatever it might be. Or you could show up and maybe learn something about yourself and everybody else around you. And nobody has to come. Freedom of association. But I'm so Christian that Christians don't like me. Okay. Well, what denomination are you? I'm like, I read the book and do what it says. They're like, yeah, but what does that even mean? I'm like, it means read the fucking book and then do what it says. They're like, but why? Because that's what God said to do, so that's what I did. But what's your doctrine? The effing book is my doctrine. That's it, right? And so being hated by the Christians is not something new for me. I just wish that occasionally they'd pull their head out of their own ass and go, maybe there's something else interesting going on outside of here that I couldn't see stuck between these two ass cheeks. So
come lead by example. Show us what you want us. Come here and be so awesome that we just have to be like you.
That's the thing, right? Like
a lot of
this is it.
Yeah.
Do shit.
A lot of it is because they don't lead by example. They just want to put some money in an envelope and then tell people they put the money in the envelope. It's the same motherfucker that shows up is there during the tornado that's not doing shit. They just put a couple bucks and make some shares but they're not on the ground. They're not helping rebuild a house. They're not even helping the neighbor, right? They want to put the money in the little plastic bread box for their kids, Sunday school that we send to another country and tell them they build some wells. Like you're not even doing shit at home.
Amen.
I mean, that's one of the reasons I love Bear. He takes his own chainsaw out and cuts trees out of the way after a tornado to help people out.
I was there. I watched Bear for 2 years, and I had it was a very unfortunate opportunity for some, but I had the opportunity that Bear was close, and I loaded my truck up and took everything we could get because I wanted to meet him face to face, and I wanted to have a conversation with him. And everything he said, it was exactly as he said. It was even bigger than what he said. All those people on the ground there, and the people that were there that weren't even on the cameras, like it was literally it was an army. It was a force of nature in there. And I met a lot of people in those couple hours that we were there. And that really, because you see all the bullshit, right? The motherfuckers doing nothing, chirping the loudest. I wanted to go see because I wanted to be involved with him, and I wanted to have a relationship with him and his people. Like people always like, where would you go if you leave Tennessee? I'm going there. Or I'm going where Tag is. Like if we uproot and leave here, that's where we're going. And I wanted to see if it was real, and it's 100% real.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. And that's like, your testimony should be obvious, whatever you believe. I shouldn't have to tell you what I believe. You should be able to see it, right? And if you can't see it, am I really living my life in such a way that's actually in line with what my values are? Or am I lying to myself and everybody else about what my values are? And I think that kind of brings it back around to Nicole's point. Like, it'd be a damn shame if a bunch of panty-waist Christians reported you for having non-Christian people at your thing. That's stupid. Because if you look at the ultimate goal of what Messiah was trying to teach, is like, this shit's not just for a little group of people. It's for everybody. Go forth and make disciples out of all nations. You will be a blessing to all nations. Go do, not talk about, not pray about, not think about. Go do good shit for the glory of the Father. Go do, go do shit. And no, I don't like this. Click. I'm reporting. Nicole's website is very violent. It hurt
Very
my
unsafe.
super duper unsafe. My pastor.
It comes down to is their belief and their salvation and their Savior so weak, and so like they don't even believe it in themselves that they can't be someplace else, like out of fear. It doesn't make any sense. I actually believe that it has nothing to do with Christianity or their beliefs at all. I really believe that it's an outside source trying to get us to fight amongst ourselves.
Probably.
It's not working very well.
No, of course not. It does work, though. I mean, it works in the normal world.
Well, and that's a great point too, Nicole, because you're exactly right. It's not working very well, right? And so that shit backfired. That shit was cute, right? Like, if anything, it like motivated us to be even better at this thing that we're doing. And you can use in your life when stuff like that happens as a catalyst for change in a positive way, right? Like, negative stimulus doesn't necessarily have to result in negative response, right? A negative stimulus can result in a positive response. There's like, joke's on you, MFer.
There was a big, huge tactical gear website, a forum. It's still around. You've heard of them. And there was 3 or 4 moderators over there that would always just constantly run their mouths about SOE, report and stuff all the time. Well, I would use their names as a discount code, and we'd make 50 grand in a weekend on sales. And they're like, oh, it's not true. When I made a video showing that it was true, they're like, okay, no more mention of this guy. You can't mention SOE. Like, they just shut them down. But it worked to our advantage for a very long time. A lot of revenue came because of the talk that they were creating.
Yep. P.T. Barnum, there's no such thing as bad press.
That's right. Yep. Controversy sells.
I mean, that was 100% when I was working in politics. Don't mention the enemy. If you're going to say something critical, you don't say their name. And because of that reason, you're just driving people to them, and you may convert them to the other vote. The game is 50+1.
We have we have a private group where we do about 10 hours of content every week. And that's one of the things we talked about last week, guys starting companies. I said, don't compare your stuff to your competitor. Don't even mention your competitor. Don't bring it up. We cost less than these guys. Don't do that. Be the best. Be the most expensive thing in your market.
Absolutely.
And deliver on your promise.
I was into a classroom full of people yesterday after they just finished Responder 3. Usually we have a garden hose when we sugar cookie these people during PT sessions. The facility we were at, I was blessed to have 2 fire hydrants and 2 fire hoses. Oh, it was a blast, man. It was a blast. So, and these people, they earned every moment of completing this class. And so they've been covered in the mud. They're doing small unit tactics, taking fire, having to render aid, having to deal with the threat, get off the X, CASEVAC, the whole 9. They're working through all this, and it's an awesome class, right? This is Responder 3. And at the end of it, I was telling them, I was like, part of the challenge that we have with refuge training is it's incomparable. What do you compare it to? Like, I can't be like, it's better than Joe Blow's training. He doesn't even begin to train what we train. Like, are there tourniquets and pressure bandages in his class? Yeah. Okay, cool. Right. But they're completely separate worlds apart. It's like, John, do your competitors use ballistic nylon? Yeah. Other than that, who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not even the same. They're different planets. It is not the same shit.
Most of our competitors use the same material and then they name it some other shit that they come up with. We get it from the same mills. Bear and I are competitors, and I'm like, hey, you should buy your shit here and save some money. Like, we communicate. A lot of us in the industry do. It's to our best interest.
Well, that's exactly right, man, because there's this perception that it's a zero-sum game. And if you believe it's a zero-sum game, it then becomes a race to the bottom. How do I undercut John? How do I have more sales than John? How do I be better than John? It's like, John's shit is badass, right? It's awesome. I have SOE equipment. I run SOE equipment. And it's like, it's awesome stuff. We might be in the same space. We might technically be competitors, but I in no way ever want to take money out of your pocket or take sales from you, right? And it's like, because you're damn good at what you do and you deserve every dime that you get. And so if you approach it as a zero-sum game where the only way I'm going to take money is if I take sales, or if I'm going to make money is if I take sales away from you, that's bullshit, because now I've separated myself from you. I don't have a subject matter expert that if I need to reach out to and go, dude, I got questions. Homie, I got you. How much more exponential growth could I make by having access to somebody like you that makes an awesome product, knows their shit, has been in the industry for decades, et cetera, versus trying to be the new kid on the block and undercutting the guy who's been here for decades, right? Like, that's
right.
Ridiculous logic. It doesn't work that way. I
tried to hire your guy. I didn't even know Bear existed when Cody was out here. I'm like, do you want a job?
Well, they got past it, guys. They got past it.
No, I didn't know. We didn't know. This dude was making all kinds of clothes, and I'm like, I don't know shit about making clothes, but that's pretty cool. We could probably do something.
Yeah. Yeah, because clothes are annoying. From the girl perspective, they're annoying.
That's why the Christians don't like you. Okay? You got to keep clothes on at the self.
That's a good point. I mean, how are we born, though? It's just how God made me.
Fair enough.
Sorry. Sometimes you just have to be a little silly, guys. Yeah, I know. The first time I ever sold at the farmer's market, my prices on garlic were higher than everybody else. And somebody came over and said the price of garlic is, 99 cents. And I was like, mine's $5. And she said, 99 cents. And I was like, no.
Well, what you do is you buy all their 99-cent garlic, and then it's all $5.
That was with eggs.
I look at things when I go places and there's 3 options. I usually buy the expensive one unless the dude's an asshole. And even then, sometimes I buy the expensive. It's perception of value. I can buy a dog leash for $5 at Walmart. I can bring it home and put some crystals on it, right? I can bedazzle it, and I can sell it on Rodeo Drive for $500. If I took a $10 dog leash to Rodeo Drive, they wouldn't buy it because it's not expensive enough. They don't care point of origin. They care that they can brag, with their other designer little dog that they paid $5,000 for. They're not going to put a $10 leash on the thing.
Yep.
There is an ass for every seat. There is a customer for every product. You just have to connect the two and decide which customer you want.
Yeah, I feel like I have not, articulated the value of the thing. If somebody's saying, hey, Self-Reliance Festival tickets are too expensive or whatever, I'm like, have you looked at all the other festivals? Because I have done my best to pack value in and keep the price at a point where most people can come. And if there's one person out there who can't because of price, they should definitely email me. Like, if it's sincere, email me. There's volunteer opportunities. There are some other ways. So, yeah.
If you're short on money and if you think you spent all of your money to come here, find me. We will talk for 20 minutes and I will figure out how to make you that money within 5 minutes. Like, if you have access, there's always another level, right? And when you hang around dudes that are maneuvering and making $1 million deals every day, and you have access to those dudes, they are going to plug you in. They're going to give you access. They're going to co-sign you, and they're going to give you options to do things that you don't even believe you can do. And once you do them, it's proven, and it's perpetual motion. It just keeps happening. So many people they're stepping over dollars to pick up dimes all the time.
Hell yeah. 100% agree. That goes back to, like, don't try and alienate your competitors, right?
Right. Because I need the mill to have multicam. So why would I not tell you where it's at? One day, because I'm calling and I'm like, order every month, olive drab material. People aren't buying it. It's going away. There is no olive drab material now, like, because people weren't buying it. It is in my interest for everybody to buy enough that they warehouse it, and I don't have to buy 50,000 yards of it to have it made.
Yep. I saw somebody in the chat was saying $75 for the next 2 days, Self-Reliance Festival. If that's the case, that's a phenomenal price for the level of instruction and the level of networking that's there, and just the opportunities that present themselves at something like that. $75 is a phenomenal price. It's I don't even know what else to say other than and I mean this with love in my heart, if you don't have a spare $75 to dedicate towards your preparedness journey, you're probably doing something wrong. And I know it's hard. I know people are on fixed income. I get it. I totally understand. But I honestly think, and I'm the king of put food in buckets, I honestly think you're better off spending $75 to come to Self-Reliance Festival than you are to fill up 3 more buckets with rice or beans. Honestly,
it's a talking point. They want most people that say I can't afford to come. I'm like, I'll buy your ticket. Do you know that nobody's ever taken me up on that? Not a single person. They weren't coming anyways. When I make it, when I take away whatever the barrier is, they're still not coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's business, right? When earlier, like, your product's too expensive. Well, that person wasn't going to buy your product anyway.
That's right.
And that's okay. That's fine. Niching down. I don't have to sell. Do I want to sell 1,000 $1 items to get, $1,000, or do I want to sell $110 items, or $100 items, or $1,000 item? It's easier to make one sale at $1,000 than it is to make 1,000 sales at $1.
Yeah. Yep. Except for if you're selling coffee. I guess I just need to figure out how to make that $1,000 pound of coffee. Don't I? Is that my next challenge?
Yes, you should. Country Prepper says his wife is the barrier. I happen to have a relationship advice show. If you want to keep your wife, you should definitely not listen to my advice. But I do have a relationship advice show on our membership network.
Yeah. I think your spouse needs to support you.
Absolutely. And Amanda's on my relationship advice show too.
Yeah. Makes sense. I don't give relationship advice though, because I haven't been terribly good at it.
We don't either. We just tell what we do.
Literally, my Patreon video yesterday was called Tribal Dating. So, and I'm not saying I'm great at it. I'm just saying it's something we're going through right now. So here's some lessons learned, because there be landmines out in that field, bro. So
that's the conversation we had at lunch. Like, how do you find a woman that's going to raise your kids and want to have kids with you and raise them in old values and how whatever it is that you want, right? You want a chick that's going to homestead. You're probably not finding her at the bar. She's not in Nashville, right? You have to go where those people are.
Yep. Well, and
Yep.
that's for sure, right? Like, I've used the fishing analogy before. Like, you can show up to a bass pond, but if you got the wrong lure on, you're not going to catch bass. Like, PID, identify the target, do a little bit of homework. What am I after? What do I want to get out of this, right? And to that $75 thing again, right? People miss that their most important resource is time.
Mm-hmm.
Irreplaceable. You'll never get it back. If you made $1 billion a day, you can't buy one more second of time, right? And so to spend your time wisely, to be able to find that wife, that husband, that best friend, that whatever it might be, to build that team out of people that you want to do life with, not just when the friggin' balloon goes up, but like tomorrow. Hey man, you want to get some pizza here tomorrow or whatever? Like, you want to slaughter a sheep, plant a garden, work on the rain catchment, whatever you're into. Like,
hey baby, you want to build rain catchment?
Yeah. Feel about crawling onions. You into that? Yeah.
You should do that. You should do that, Nicole. You should do those little shorts in your little voice there, and you should do 100 different ones of them. It'll catch
I'm
fire.
totally gonna do that. I am gonna do it.
It'll catch fire. And time too. Time is something that every human being, we all start with 24 hours in every day. The difference is how you utilize the time. That's the one thing that we all have together. And when you limit access, right? When people come in and say snide shit, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But if you say something that I have to see repetitively that even makes my eye look at it, I remove you from my life. Mainly because I can't push a button and electrocute the shit out of you. So I just limit you. Just remove access to yourself of things that irritate you and stop. That way we don't focus on them and you have more time for things that better you.
Yeah, those time suckers, those time vampires, man. Yep. I weed those people out left and right. And a bunch of them I love, right? Like, for example, my mom's awesome. I love my mom, but I have to know that if I'm going to talk to my mom, I need an hour at a minimum to be able to talk with my mom, right? So it has to be a conversation. It's not, hey, Ma, I'm still alive. I love you. Glad you're still alive. Okay, bye, right? But that's like the highest level, the most altruistic level of time suckers. There's people out there that don't even know they're wasting your time. And then there's people that do know they're wasting your time. And they're 100% about that, because every moment you spend worrying about their shit is a moment you're not spending executing on your shit. And they're literally robbing you, but you'll never get that time back again. And you have to have enough self-discipline and enough wherewithal and balls or ovaries big enough to go, F you, delete, block, I'm out. Whether that's on your phone or, it's on YouTube or Patreon or whatever. And especially the most dangerous ones are people that that you have pre-existing relationships with, that the two of y'all were good. Yep. When you were a different person last month, last year, last decade, and now they're just barely hanging on to that relationship with you, and they're wasting your damn time. Yep. And so I end up either cutting those people out of my life or dragging them along with me until they figure it out themselves, and then they rise to that same level as well.
Or they realize this is too much work and they just leave.
I'm out.
Yeah. I need to put you, Bear, with STOS there. I know him. I'm going to put you guys together. I think there's probably some business you guys can do. I feel like we're going to see you do something with On It or Jocko Fuel or something here soon. Is there something going on there or am I just...
So you're not imagining things. Appreciate that. We we are waiting on. We should have it within, I think, about a week. Jocko Origin Maine has an exclusive hunt pattern, exclusive camo pattern, 2 different colors, and we are producing a survival kit and a first aid kit for them that'll be branded Origin, co-branded Refuge, and the initial run will be about 65 Bearfax and 35 SOB small, the back kits, just with the initial run of fabric that comes in. We've been prototyping since Q3 of last year, going back and forth with them. And the initial run will be the first runoffs ever on the production line. And then once we have those, we're going to get those in, sell those out, and they will probably be gone in about an hour, just like that. And then it'll be a massive shipment of that same material coming in from there for the survival kit and for the first aid kit. And then we are also working on a, we called it the SMAC, the sports medicine casualty kit. Nice. And it's made out of their Brazilian jiu-jitsu gi material. And then it's basically, if you ever see those dudes on the sidelines at like a football game or something that have like that EMT bag that's got everything in it you need. So it's just like that, specifically designed for people who are in combat sports. And J.A. Dudley, who's one of our guys, he's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. We were like, Dud, if you needed a first aid kit, what do you want in it, right? And so we've got some subject matter expertise there, and so we'll be building the SMAC kit out for them. And then there's half a dozen other products that are still in the prototyping phase right now. Ultimately, the products will live at Refuge, and they will be promoted by Origin and Jocko Fuel through the podcast, their social media, et cetera, et cetera. And that's really great for us because we're not a vendor to them. We're a partner with them, which is awesome. And they have that huge marketing machine that's driving people back to Refuge. So if they want to get a Jocko survival kit, they can, plus a red ARC or a red Bearfac or a stomp bag or whatever. And so, but all of that came about because of high ideological alignment. They are very much so about American manufacturing, as are we. We are working on becoming the first company in the world that will produce surgical shears in the United States of America. Good. Been pouring money into that for months now, R&D, because everything right now is made in China or Pakistan. The Pakistani ones are good. They're just not made here. And we're Americans. We can figure this shit out. It's 2 pieces of metal with plastic handle, right, with a rivet down the middle. We can do this, right? This is not, we put a man on the moon, question mark. Like we flat. On the moon. We ought to be able to make some friggin' shears, right? So, but that's coming along pretty good. And I can't say enough good things about those 2 organizations, Jocko Fuel and Origin Maine. They're awesome people, absolutely awesome people. And to everybody out there who's thinking about starting a business or making that next move or whatever, the way that came about was a year and a half ago. Pete, who's the CEO of Origin, I sent him 2 Bearfax as a thank you for just that. I appreciate you being you and spending the last decade.
Oh, we have had an internet gremlin, so we're going to miss the good part of the story, which always happens. Bear, are you back? Not back.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. Sometimes he has to log back off and on again, but we actually had a really good run. I think we made it almost an hour before the NSA turned Bear off because he was about to say something super informative, because there's a conspiracy behind everything that happens, right, John?
Oh, I believe there is. I mean, even if it's not, I believe that people in government that are doing stuff that's not good for us, I believe some of them actually believe in what they're doing. And then I think the other side controlling the strings actually are much more nefarious.
So I hear Bear say all of that. And I think about what people keep telling me. People are spending less money. They're feeling the squeeze. Business is down. Bear is growing his business as fast as he can and seeing opportunity everywhere. And so when I hear that as a justification for why sales are down. I don't buy it.
Well,
it's up to me to find other places, right?
It's different customers. You need a vast customer base.
Yeah.
When you deal with people with money, their money's not down. When you deal with just the impulse buy, when we're targeting marketing, like it's like customers walking in my store here. They're like, "Are you open to the public?" We are, but we don't advertise publicly because we are the meth capital of Tennessee. We are the most impoverished county of all of Tennessee. So typically when somebody walks in, they're like, "Why are these belts $65?" Well, the buckle costs $30. I mean, you couldn't even buy the buckle for $35.
Because if you buy one of those belts, you're probably never buying a belt again as long as you live, unless you gain or lose a bunch of weight.
Yeah, you just have to align with the right people. So back to the Jocko stuff, Bear.
Yeah, Nat, tell us the good stuff that they cut out.
Sorry about that. So I sent Pete 2 Bear Facts a year and a half ago as a thank you for his investment and an acknowledgement of his investment in American manufacturing. And I got an email, or I got a message back from him that was like, "Appreciate these, dude. They're badass. Love it. One's going in the Jeep, one's going on the boat. You're awesome. Mazel tov." Super cool with that. Super happy with that. Didn't want anything out of it. And then about 6 months ago, I walk into the office, and Bob, COO of Refuge, he's just in there bobbing. He's like, "Man, you know what would be so cool? Like if we could work with Origin, we could work with Jock." I was like, "Bob, pause. I pulled my phone out, put it on record, and I was like, "Go." And he just started. He's like, "It would be so awesome because they're an American manufacturer, and we're an American manufacturer, and they're passionate about rebuilding the American supply chain." And he's just going and going and going and going. And I turned the phone around. I was like, "Hey, Pete, it's Bear again. Listen, we think you guys are the bee's knees. We'd love to do some business with you. If that's possible, let's do it. If it's not possible, no hard feelings. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm wearing your jeans right now. I'm wearing your hoodie right now. You guys are awesome." Send it over to Pete. 2 days later, got an email from their vice president of product development, who was the email was like, "Pete said to get a hold of you to figure this shit out. Let's party." Awesome. And so from a biz dev standpoint, like sometimes we get wrapped around the axles of like, I need to call John Smith Jr., Senior VP of Marketing with blah, 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 and have a well-worded conversation explaining the value proposition. Or sometimes you're just you, right? And if you're you enough, and if the you that you are aligns well enough with the they that they are, you do business. And if it doesn't matter how good your syntax is in the pitch that you give somebody if you're not aligned. If you are aligned, your syntax can be shit, and you're still going to make that connection. You know what I mean? And so that's where the relationship with Origin and Jocko came from. And they're awesome partners. They're awesome people. And it was just simply us being us, acknowledging them a year and a half ago, saying, "We dig what you're about. Don't want anything from you. We just dig what you're about. And this is an acknowledgement that we dig what you're about." And what was super cool for me when I was in Idabel, last tornado we worked, my boots were falling apart, and I was talking about it on a video. I was like, "Man, my boots are coming apart." Right. The next day, I had a brand new pair of Origin boots, boom, on site in a tornado zone with a note that was like, "Hey, you guys are badass. Saw your boots are falling apart. Here's a pair of boots. Keep doing good stuff."
Yep.
Like it's a relationship, you know, and that's super cool. So
there's no more gatekeeper anymore. If you're not able to do things, it's because you're not dreaming big enough. There literally is no gatekeeper. And you can say things and tag companies in social media. And if you're not getting the attention that you need, you can have other people tag them. Somebody will see it. I promise you, they see it.
For sure. That you're right, though, as far as all of these stumbling blocks and hurdles are self-imposed. Like if you think you can't, you can't. If you think you can, you can. And it's 90% of life is showing up, and the other 10% is do shit. Like it's pretty much that simple. Like be where you are when you say you're going to be there, and then perform. The end. So.
Yeah. And I think there's that piece of you are the story you tell yourself. And so if you catch yourself having that conversation with yourself, that's negative or discouraging, you got to find a way to turn that around, even if you fake it till you make it, and start telling yourself another story. Like literally look yourself in the mirror and say the words out loud if your head's going the wrong place, to get yourself back on track. Because I mean, that's literally how I have made every change in my life. So I believe in the method. When I realize my mindset's wrong, I just start changing it.
That's a
super
big
simple.
The negative self-talk is something we touch on quite often at our channel. My brain will say things to me that I wouldn't let another person on the face of the earth say. Right? I'd knock their teeth across the room if somebody said that to me. But somehow I'm okay with me saying it to me. Like, that's bullshit, right? And so shutting down that negative self-talk, it sounds hippy-dippy, touchy-feely, but it's a huge unlock. Like, because you believe yourself when you say that to yourself, you know. And if you, I'm not good enough, I'm a piece of shit, I'm stupid, I'm whatever the pattern of life is, whatever that cycle is that you fall into in your brain, all that negative self-talk, like step one, just stop. Step two will be figure out what to replace it with, but at least shut it down when it starts. Is like, no, you're not. I'm not a genius, but I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not Adonis, but I'm not like morbidly obese either. So I'm not fat, you know what I mean? Room for improvement. But, you know, I have value, right? And so the things that I bring to the table are valuable. They're moves that I can make. And beating yourself up over and over and over again, you can literally see it on people. Their posture changes. They're hunched in, forward. They're closed off. The look on their face, everything about them. And it's like they fail to perform. And they fail to perform because everybody, including themselves, is telling them they can't do it. They're full of shit. And then you add in a little bit of discipline to that, just a little bit, especially if you have zero, start with just a little bit to where you become believable with yourself. I'm going to get up at, pick a time, 4:30, 5, 6, 7, whatever it is. I'm going to get up at 4:30 every day. Okay. Start getting up at 4:30 every day. Should you get up NPT and start crushing life? Yes. But start with, I'm going to get up at 4:30. And then you become a little bit more believable to yourself every day. And then I'm going to get up at 4:30 NPT. And you start doing those things, right? I believe me now. And then once you actually believe you all of a sudden become believable and credible to everybody else. Because I'm never going to be able to talk you guys into believing what I have to say if I don't believe it. Right? Because I'm not believable to myself. I don't have a good track record with myself. And so that it's shifting that Overton window from I can't accomplish anything, I'm a piece of shit, I'm stupid, I'm fat, I'll never be good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not smart enough, to quiet. You'll figure out what to tell yourself. You know what motivation you need. And then start doing little things and then stacking those little things so you increase your believability with yourself, so that you're now believable with everybody else as well. And then you take that to what John was talking about earlier, like the world's your oyster, bro. Like, what do you want to do now? You literally do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
It's history, right? His story. Write your story right now. You don't get to redo yesterday. You only get to do right now. Do shit right now as though you want the story told 2 years from now. We do a lot of shit here, and dudes will be like, why are we doing this? Because when we tell this story 3 years from now, this is how I want this story told. Literally, I'm doing shit right now because of how we're going to talk about it 3 years from now.
I feel that. My media team all the time, like, and even that sounds weird to say. Like, Refuge has a media team, right? The media team, they'll be filming stuff, B-roll and all that. I'm like, why is there an effing camera in my face right now? And they're like, we're going to need this in 2 years.
Yep.
Like, cool.
Yeah, do you ever have people just say, no, say that again. Tell me why. I need to get different words on camera. Do they do that to you yet?
Yeah, that's happened a couple of times, but they all know me really well. And most of them can read my body language and expression. Yeah. Like, that's the only gonna get. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, when it's safe.
Retreat slowly away from the bear, right? But occasionally they'll be like, that was good, but could you try it this way? And I'm like, you have 2 more. I can give you 2 more. That's it. So, but yeah, what's funny with that is Dudley, because Dudley's on the media team and he's a great guy, super sweet guy. He's got a heart of gold and he's kind. He's super kind. But you look at him and he's this big black dude with a 45 on his hip. He's 26 professional MMA heavyweight fights. He just has this presence, right? And he talks like this, it's like, I need you to do this. It's like, nobody says no to Dudley. I watched him at SHOT Show walking up to the CEOs of these gigantic megacorps, be like, give me your phone number. And they're like, of course, Mr. Dudley. Here's my cell phone number, And so Dudley will walk up to me and be like, you got to do a video on this. And I'm like, do I? And he's like, do it. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to do a video, So he gets away with a lot more than everybody else on the media team does. Most of the rest of them are kind of like, hey, boss, please, if we could you please make a video about? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Dudley tells me what to do. So.
Well, it's nice when you get to that point in your building business where somebody's telling you what to do and you don't have to figure out everything by yourself.
That's super important, right? Because that's why you build teams. I don't know everything. I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I know maybe the right call to make on about 20% of what we do as a business every day. Like that's my purview when it comes to literally to the point now, like, hey, should we order more tourniquets? I don't know. That is not my decision. Probably yes, but I don't know. I don't know what's in inventory. I don't know what we sold yesterday. That's not my job, right? I don't operate at that level. I don't know what the social media pushes 2 weeks from now. I don't know the next place I'm going after Camden, Tennessee. Like, not my job. So, that's why you build these teams of people around you, because it's a span of control issue. You can't manage all those details as an individual and not some of those plates, right?
Yes, there will be there.
I will be here, there, it. I will be it in March.
Yes. He's going to share wisdom with everybody.
We'll
Henry
see.
Ford said, if I'm the smartest guy in the meeting, then I'm in the wrong meeting. I think I've heard John quote that before.
Every day.
John says a lot of the same things because people need to hear it 3 times before they really absorb it, I think. And guys keep asking him the same stuff.
People take it as though I'm doing it for them. I'm actually doing it for me. I'm reminding me. When I make those videos every morning at 4:30, I'm talking to me. I don't give a shit if somebody shows up mad about it. I'm talking to me. If somebody else gets benefit from it, then awesome.
Agreed completely. Completely.
Okay. So I have a question that I've been not asking that somebody asked at the very beginning because we were so off on this business track that it's a totally different topic. For raising sheep and cattle, are you producing your own feed or grazing?
Both.
What's that look like?
Well, the dirty little secret of practically every homestead is the feed store, right?
Yes.
It just is. And so we have our sheep and our cattle right now in pens basically in my front yard, which is less than ideal, but that's where they are. And we have hay that we feed them throughout the winter. But we also have hay fields, not on my property, but near here that are we are in the process of improving. In fact, there's a ridiculous Patreon video that'll be coming out in the near future of us attempting to seed like a 7-acre hayfield with a push behind lawn seeder and a 4-wheeler. We got it done, but it was super redneck. So it was a blast. I might have accidentally almost killed my wife a couple of times. But so we're improving this pasture, and then we run the sheep on the pasture. We ran the sheep on the pasture most of last year. And what's cool is when you run the sheep on the pasture is that they actually improve the pasture as well. So not only are they fertilizing it, but they're also pawing at the ground. They're stirring up the latent seed bank in the soil, right? And they're eating the weeds, right? And so the more you graze the animals on it, the better the pasture gets. And so we'll be doing more of that this year in 2023. I'm super eager to get them out of my front yard back onto the hayfield again. But it looks like it's officially the beginning of mud season in Oklahoma. So once things dry out a little bit, they'll go back in the field. And then we have some other areas of other properties around here where we're going to be putting up fence to move the cattle out over there as well, so we can rest the 2 paddocks that they're in currently. So rotational grazing-ish, and we use the Gallagher Smart Fence system for the sheep. It's the bee's knees. Love it. It's just a giant fishing reel filled with electric fence. Absolutely love it.
Yep.
And then our chickens, we don't feed chickens. And a lot of people are like, what do you mean you don't feed your chickens? We free range our chickens. They eat bugs and seeds and berries and whatever the hell they can find. And if something falls out of the grain bin from the sheep or the cattle, because we give them a scoop in the morning, they eat that. And I've had a bunch of people tell me that shit's not long-term sustainable. And I'm like, I think I have 80-ish chickens right now, and they're doing great. They're doing absolutely great. Now, if I kept them in an enclosure, which we've done previously, we'd still give them some kind of feed. The issue that we've had with growing feed, specifically like corn, sorghum, etc., is that the county that I'm in, this whole county, back in the 60s, was a coal mine.
Oh, no.
And most of the dirt in the area is not topsoil. It's overburden that was pushed back in. And so we only have an inch, maybe 2 of soil, and then you hit overburden and dead red clay. And we've had a hell of a time planting directly in the soil. We've tried wheat, we've tried corn, we've tried fruit trees, nut trees, potatoes, and all that stuff. And it just doesn't grow because there's nothing in the soil. And so we've been compost fanatics since way before we got to Oklahoma. But literally this morning I was moving compost with skid steer bucket because I've got 50 tons of it over here. And I've got about another 50 tons of stuff that I need to scrape up and pile up for this year's pile right now. So we've been turning compost in the soil as well as putting compost in the raised beds, about a 50-50 mix of native soil and compost mixed together to enrich the soil, because there's nothing in the soil when it comes to nutrients. So that has been a challenge with the sheep. But sheep specifically don't need grain to survive. They taste way better when you feed them a little bit of grain because they put more fat on. And so if you're going to butcher these things out and, for example, make sausage out of them or lamb burger or anything like that, it's nice to have extra fat. I did get about 1,000 loads of wood chips. That's correct, Chris. So he watched the 97 Patreon videos I did on wood chips.
So I see you do a ton of like Greg Judy stuff. I've heard you mention him. And you just bought a wood chipper recently, right? You got a big chipper. That's how we did everything here. This was a rock quarry. I mean, literally rock. We couldn't grow anything here if it wasn't for the years of, and we've put down 1,000 dump trucks of wood chips, right? So we just, and then run animals over them. And the wood chip, I mean, that'll be a huge game changer.
Yep. Yeah, we took, there was a line clearance company came through here 18 months ago, 2 years ago maybe, and they were looking for a place to dump their wood chips. I was like, how about right in that field right there? And they brought, dude, I don't know how many loads, but it was well over 1,000 cubic yards of wood chips. It took us months to move the wood chips around. And then now, I've been telling my wife for about a year, I was like, hey, find a good wood chipper for sale, grab that sucker up. She's like, okay. And where was I? I was somewhere doing something. Where was I?
You were out of town.
I was out of town. I don't remember. I don't remember what the hell I was doing. Vegas. I was in Vegas, a SHOT Show.
SHOT Show.
And my wife texted me and she's like, hey, I found a wood chipper. It's $5,500. I'm like, all right. And she sends me a picture of it. It's a Bandit 1290X 12-inch drum chipper. And I'm like, sold. So my ass wife went and bought a freaking wood chipper and towed it back to the homestead and set that thing up while I was in Vegas. And now I'm ashamed to say I personally haven't fired it up and used it yet because of my damn schedule. But I was looking at it really hard this morning. So,
So it got side eye. You got to the side eye stage of using something new.
yes.
Giving it side eye, like I just want to turn you on.
My wood chip master is Chris Watkins right there, and you'll like him. He has a lot of white colored chainsaws.
Oops, not him. He was just in the oh, there he is.
He's there. Yeah.
Yeah. The wood chip guy.
Yeah, he's got lots of steel chainsaws.
He has, I think, an open invitation to dump wood chips at John Willis's anytime he wants, right?
Oh, he has an open invitation to do anything I'm doing.
Was he there
Yes.
time I was there with the bucket truck?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah, great dude.
An hour on Saturday. Great guy.
Yep. Little Amish guy.
Yeah.
He's not really Amish, but
Love that guy. He's
Yeah.
awesome.
Everybody's saying there's another saw. So I just say these things without realizing they have a double meaning. It's one of my charming things, I guess, or it ticks people off. It just depends who you are.
Yeah, you'll get your website reported again.
Yeah, that's my other website, though, probably. I actually don't know if my other website's been reported. If anybody has Norton, go to livingfreeintennessee.com and let me know. Because I don't use Norton, but they keep sending me those emails saying I paid them $350 every so often. You
yeah,
guys
I don't think anybody uses Norton anymore, but whatever. This would
Travis
be a good
does.
this would be a good opportunity for Travis to use a Vost or something, free that you don't have to pay for.
Hey, I'm gonna go pee off my porch. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. Shoot
Leave
one of them.
the video pointed away.
Whatever. Did you get rid of all your roosters? Where's all the? I haven't heard a rooster this whole show.
Literally one just crowed.
Oh.
I have not gotten rid of all of them. There are several that need to die, but that's the constant state of the
Same.
always several that need to die.
Same. So we used a hatchery this last year that I hadn't used before, and we got all those Cornish cross and barred rocks, and so we got hundreds of birds, and they missed a whole shipment of birds. So we reached out. They were totally cool. They're like, no problem, we'll send them. Well, they sent all roosters, or everything they sent ended up being a rooster. So I have like 40 roosters right now that I am just giving to people. They'll make great chicken and dumplings. I have some amazingly huge barred rocks. If anybody is in my area and wants roosters, I've got 3 or 4 different breeds of amazingly big roosters that'll be great for your flock. Or if you just want them for chicken and dumplings or whatever, I've got some really good roosters if you're close here.
So we need to do a processing workshop out there, apparently.
We totally can. I've still got Cornish crosses from this last year. I have 5 alive right now that are just in with the other chickens. We gave 17 of them, I think, to a local lady here a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. She dressed those Cornish crosses out, dressed meat weight bone in, was 17 pounds for the lightest and 21 pounds for the heaviest. So everybody that tells you Cornish cross, they break their legs and they have heart attacks. Maybe mine didn't, though, and they went through 105-degree temperature this year and went through all of our snows and 0-degree temperature, and they're still alive.
That's incredible. I lost some when I raised them a long time ago too. They just dropped dead. Do you ever have that happen?
Yes, with every breed, I have that happen.
Okay.
Especially turkeys.
Yeah, I've only raised turkeys the one time, and I don't know about turkeys right now. After that, although it was a really fun slaughter day, and I ended up covered in turkey blood from head to foot, as I recall.
I was there. Yeah. You had huge turkeys.
Yeah, they were over 30 pounds.
Yeah, they were beating the shit out of people.
They beat the shit. I was all bruised from like my thigh all the way down from the wing flap. Yeah, that was.
I had a video. Amanda, my wife, slaughtered a turkey. She had her arm all the way up in that thing. And then Jade's girl was there. We had pictures of her in her Tyvek biological suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I prefer turkeys to chickens if I'm a butcher poultry, because getting this up inside a chicken, like just doesn't. And I got to do, 6 or 7 chickens to make up for one turkey. So I'd just rather do a turkey. So I like turkeys as compared to chickens, but chickens, eggs, meat, compost, easy peasy. Turkeys are, we have ours in a pen, and they're fine, but we don't interact with them near as much. But it's kind of the chickens we don't think about. The turkeys I have to think about. They need food and water and shelter, blah blah blah. The chickens just run rampant. Honestly, like they drink the cow water and eat the sheep's grain and bugs, and they go into their coop at night. Door gets closed. We're good. So,
well, here's a question: would you move from Florida to Missouri? Random question.
Maybe.
Depends why you're moving and what you want.
I would definitely move from California to anywhere.
Well, you've already done that.
Yes.
Florida's odd. It's really hard to like bug out of Florida because of the way the highways work there, and it's long and narrow. And so like whenever there's a hurricane coming and people decide to leave, like everybody gets stuck on the highway for 16, 20, 24 hours. It's a mess. And it's a very high population density. Even if you live in one of the less populated parts of Florida, you're not very far from a low population density area. So I don't, from a preparedness standpoint, don't love Florida. But if I lived in Florida, I'd figure out how to make it tenable. Missouri's not a bad state. It's not maybe the best, but it's still pretty good. It's got decent laws and, for the most part, decent people and decent governance, and land's relatively inexpensive, especially compared to Florida. But you need a lot more details, because if you're getting into the Ozarks and Southwest Missouri and you're 70 years old with bad knees, it might be bad because everything's rocking dirt and 45-degree angles. But if you're 20 something and looking to put down some roots, yeah, sure, maybe. So.
Tactical says Bear needs to adopt the tactical method of processing, get everybody else to shove your hand in the bird. That's how that works here. We've got 3 of us who work on it. They kill them. I scald and pluck and ice them. And then I start eviscerating. And the other guy who has smaller hands helps me eviscerate. And tactical scrubs all the things I just used for scalding. And we get it knocked out fast. When we're on it, we can do 25 birds in like 2 hours. It's super fast.
Awesome. That's awesome.
That's where, I mean, it goes back to community. That's where having great neighbors or having people who will work with you on a project, facing down 25 chickens by yourself, I can totally do it. I can do every step of the way. I can get everything clean, but I'm a heck of a lot less. It's like the 3 people grossly amplify the productivity of that process.
Yeah, people miss that too, because like 2 people do not do the work of 2 people. 2 people do the work of 3, maybe even 4 people. 3 is more like 5 people, right? 5 people are doing the work easily of 10 individuals, right? It's compounding in nature. It's exponential, not linear, as far as what you can accomplish by adding somebody to the group. There's also, you can have too many people involved in one thing, right? That you get people just standing around or complicating things. But it's definitely good to have people and task org and division of labor and all that. We just, yesterday, it's fresh on my mind because I just did it, Responder 3 yesterday. We have 15 people running through the final scenario, and they failed the first time around. And it's like, well, you're not allowed to die in our class. Nobody gets to die. Everybody's going to live. That's the point of the class. And so took them behind a building, gave them a stern bear talking to, yelled at a few people. And I was like, look, there's 15 of y'all. You only have 5 guns. Okay, so how many people are on your security team? 5. That leaves 10 left over. We got a casualty we have to evacuate. We're going to use a quick litter to do it. 1 on each corner, that's 4 plus leader, that's 5. That leaves 5 for as medics. So we go 5 on the aid and litter team, 5 as medics, 5 on security. Now each one of you have 60 seconds to figure out who's in charge of each one of those teams. 3 of you get the leadership together. here's what we're going to do. All right. And then it took them 22 minutes to fail to not complete the first time they ran the scenario. And I said, you have 10 minutes to complete it on the second go around and nobody dies. And they did, just with a little bit of task organization and just a sprinkling of leadership. It's like, all right, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this. And then all of a sudden shit just started happening like magically. It was incredible to see, you know?
Contagious.
Yeah.
What should the average 9-to-5 Joe with a rifle and PC do to get ready for get quickly ready for what's coming? Thanks, y'all.
Are you asking what goodies you want to buy? Or are you in shape? Fitness is free.
Fitness is free. What's coming?
Yeah. Define what's coming. What are you prepared for?
I've been telling guys like, okay, is some terrible shit coming? Yes, I believe it is. Would you be in a better position right now if you had a lot more money when that happens? Because you can take that lot of money and turn that into assets and turn that into land and turn that into secondary location. And when you're doing things like that, you attract the right kind of people, right? Like Bear says, do life, get around, sniff each other's butts, see if you are like it's just like we were saying in the chicken processing. Somebody in here said a lot more people sometimes slow it down. Well, we quickly identify those people. And when you task them and actually make them perform, they're going to rise to standard or they're going to not come back, right? So we need to do those things, have a little bit of chaos, get together, do things that are difficult and see who actually performs. You'll have 20 people show up, but 2 really do the work, right? 3, 4 do the work. Well, you don't invite those other people anymore. Or in fact, you even uninvite them.
I think we were talking to Tag the other day, and he said every so often somebody wants to shadow him on his homestead, and he always has to snicker because he's like, okay, we're doing firewood today. And he's somebody who does not ever even take a break for lunch. Yeah, so it's a hard day.
You better be quick. You better be quick if you're coming because you're going to chase me around here.
Yeah. Yeah. If you walk slowly, you can't talk to John. His wife is about half his size and her legs are smaller and she keeps up with John.
Sometimes I have her in a backpack like Yoda.
Yeah. I mean, so I think I always struggle with this one because I'm seeing in the comments, store food to the rafters. And that can really bite you in the butt if you do that wrong. Because I teach people how to store the things you use and use the things you store and get that on a cycle so it empowers you. So that if you lose a job and don't have any income, you have like the savings account of supplies. And the one thing you don't have to worry about is, am I going to eat and whatever else? Am I going to have enough supplies? But if what you do right now to fear is go out and spend money on your credit card to buy a bunch of food you would not eat normally, I don't know that you're better off. You just spent a bunch of money you didn't have, and you may have beans and rice to the ceiling, but do you know how to cook beans and rice from dry? Do you know how to store it right? It's just, ugh.
Here's the deal. I'm 51. Every year something was supposed to destroy us. I'm still here. When we moved to Tennessee, I would go to Nashville with a full-size F-250 truck and bring home pallets of tuna. And then the next couple of weeks, I'd bring home pallets of canned chicken. We didn't eat any of that. It actually went bad eventually, and we fed it off to animals. We didn't use any of that. We were good for 5, maybe 10 years, but it did go bad. But if you store rice and wheat, like I'm not eating rice and wheat, but I have a ton of rice and wheat. You poor bastards that show up are probably going to eat some rice and wheat if you come here. I will then be eating bread also if those days come. But start a business. Find something that you love to do. Find a service. The difference, half of the population in the United States solely has a job because people are willing to bring guys with guns to steal money from those of us who actually do create something, right? If you have a good or a service, if you're a dentist, for instance, people will seek you out. Find something that you do well that people are willing to give you money for. Figure out how to monetize that. Build a creation content company to bring in more revenue around it. And then do that, right? Do something I don't ever get up in the morning and go, man, I got to go to work. I work literally every single day of the year. It is built into every single thing my wife and I do by choice. But I would like to hear Bear's take on that. And I'd like to hear Bear's, what should the average 9-to-5 Joe with a rifle and plate carrier do to get ready for what's coming?
Oh boy. All right. So rifle and plate carrier equal good if you know how to use them. If you don't know how to use them, you're LARPing and will probably die, probably from traumatic blood loss, because if you need a plate carrier, that means you're on a two-way range, and even somebody who's really bad tactically can still kill your ass dead about that quick. How do I know? We teach tactical medicine. And we teach tactical medicine from civilians up to literal operators all around the globe currently. So, plate carrier, good. Are you PTing in your plate carrier? Can you carry all of your shit? How far can you carry your shit for? You have a rifle, good. Can you shoot it from all four positions? The standing, the kneeling, the sitting, the prone. And when I say shoot, can you make hits at 300 meters without trying repeatedly in all conditions? Daylight, low light, no light. Do you have a weapons light and an optic and a 2-point sling? Yes, a 2-point sling, so you can sling your rifle while you're doing shit. So having a rifle to plate carrier, good, comma, can you use the damn thing? Is the rifle even zeroed? Do you know your holds? Are you running 55s or 77s or 62 LAP or blah, 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 blah. An area study costs you nothing but time, and you should absolutely do an area study to understand what specific threats you're actually going to face. Coming up with a bug out plan costs you no money, just time. Figure out where you're going to go, what you're going to do when things get weird. And the bug out bag is not a bug out plan. Everybody focuses on the bug out bag. I've got the shit that I need in the bag so I can go when I need to go. Cool. Where are you going, homie? That's not a plan, right? We're at bug out location, right? Bug out plan, then bug out location, then bug out kit, then bug out vehicle. What am I going to put the kit into? And then right? Bug out bag is like the worst of the worst. Everything has gone to shit because all systems ultimately degrade into a man-portable system, meaning I'm going to take the absolute minimum I need to sustain myself with on foot, probably with my wife and my kids and grandma and everybody else, and we're going to make maybe a mile an hour at that point if we have to bug out on foot. And by the way, the average rate of patrolling, walking quietly in the woods with guns, is a half a mile an hour. So if your bug out location is 200 miles away, it's going to take you a while to get there. Okay. So do an area study, figure out what the bug out plan actually is. Networking, Self-Reliance Festival, $75 for 2 days. That's not a whole lot of money. You can come for the weekend, meet some people, date each other, fall in love, do meaningful shit together. Work on PT was an obvious one. Good job, John. Absolutely. Like, fitness is free. You can do push-ups and sit-ups and leg lifts and squats, air squats, whatever you want for nothing in your backyard or wherever you are. You can flex at your desk. You can put a kettlebell underneath your desk. I know somebody that every hour on the hour would drop down at their desk and do push-ups, right? Like, walk to work, ride a bike. It's not all about spending for the sake of spending, to John's point. Like, you should spend wisely. But also, I agree that the money sitting in your bank account is potentially going to be a lot less valuable than the assets you could have accrued now, hard assets that you may not be able to get at some point. Supply chain has been a mother, not just during the days of COVID, but even now, supply chain is horrendous. It's a daily battle for us. I used to have one person who was on ordering part-time. I now have 3 people full-time ordering, and that's not because of business growth. It's because of the supply chain, because it now takes 3 full-time people just to keep us in stock, where it used to be 1 part-time job. And so your access to the components, the potentially critical components you need to be able to maintain life when something stupid happens, are probably going to go away and will become extremely restricted. I would also 100% encourage you to train. People don't train often enough. They just don't. And the thing that, we hear all the time, or at least I hear all the time, about like operators, right? Like, everybody wants to be an operator. There's 2 things that separate special forces from your standard, infantry or whatever, right? Combat arms. One is grit, right? They went through selection and they made it. It's a certain personality type that gets to that point. The other is training. That's it. And I've been blessed to train with a bunch of these guys. The training's not near as sexy as you think it is. It's just thousands of it's not just, but what it is thousands of dry fire reps, thousands of up drills, up, bang, up, bang, up, bang, up, bang. Over, and everybody wants to run and gun and slide through the mud and, you know, cover me, I'm moving, blah, blah, blah. You don't even begin to do that shit until you can smack a target at 300 yards without trying, in the dark, while kneeling with your weapons light pressed, to make 2 shots, bang, bang, extinguish your white light, get up and move, because rounds are coming back to that position right now. And so, like, everybody wants to do cool guy shit, and nobody knows how to safely handle their weapon. That's training, right? Everybody, if you have a first aid kit, nobody knows how to use it. If you've ever seen a chicken before, if I hand you a chicken and a knife, you don't know what to do now to turn it into food, right? If I hand you an onion and say, go plant this, a whole bunch of people don't know what to do with this onion. What do I do? How deep in the soil does it go? What kind of soil does it go in? Does it need shade? Does it need sun? How much water does it need? Go do shit. Like, go do shit. Should you buy shit? Absolutely. But you should do shit. And if you do shit, you identify holes in your skill set and holes in your equipment, which you can now backstock. You can backfill those gaps with the money that you're earning in your 9 to 5, instead of having a $2,700 bug out bag that weighs 100 pounds that you can't walk with. It's full of shit that you'll never use, and it'll break on you if you ever actually have to use it. I'll shut up now.
I mean, that's you could keep going. I think all of the stored food in the world buys you time, but if you don't have the skills to replenish that, then you've just got that time and it's over. That's always how I think about that, but that's why I live on a homestead. I guess that was my priority. So, well,
the thing people should look at, right? Okay, so we're all set, right? I see all these guys saying we're bugging in, right? I'm with you. I'm there, right? I'm where I want to be. We also just saw a train derail, and all those people are fucked, and they're negotiating with themselves. I know a man who literally is a block away right now. They let him come back 3 days after they evacuated him. What people don't realize is that train derailed almost a week before anybody in here even knew it. I only saw it because I saw a live pop up where they were evacuated. I go, what the fuck is going on? He's like, train just derailed. But there are people that are literally there right now. They are being poisoned. Animals are dying hundreds of miles away still. And they're negotiating with themselves of, you know, well, all my money's here, right? Like you don't have a choice. Like if you have children, chances of your children dying in the future like you're going to be alive to see your kids die by staying there. So have a plan, like at least play it, right? How many dudes are like, well, if the power goes out, have you ever turned your circuit breaker off? Like, why don't you inside camp this weekend? Everybody, I myself drive a badass Toyota, right? It's full of shit. What happens if that motherfucker turns over? Or what happens? It only takes 2 boo-boo la-foo-foo driving down the interstate when there's some shit going on and they ran out of gas. And then a couple more people and you're a gridlock. How many of us to sit in traffic for an hour, and when you get up there's not even any, it's grandma, some asshole didn't help her change her tire, right? It's just people looking. Just plan it, man. Just if this, then that. And we just don't like to do it, man. We don't like to do it.
I hear the time from people like, I'm never bugging out. Okay, well, history is a story of people moving from one place to another, right? I don't want to leave here. I love it here. I've poured a ton of time and money and blood and sweat and tears into this place. If that friggin' train derails right over there, I'm out. I'm up, dude. We're moving. We're not staying here. We can't stay here. And people, like, I like to use the Panamanian paratroopers, right? If the Panamanian paratroopers land 3 towns away, you know, and they're got, you know, automatic riflemen and machine guns and they're headed this way, can I take them? Maybe, probably not, but maybe. Do I want to? Am I going to put the ballistic helmet on my 6-year-old and be like, here's your gas mask, honey? Okay, listen, when they come over this hill, this is your sector of fire. We're not doing that, right? I'm out. I'm not staying here. And so while I love it here, and my primary plan is to stay here for as long as possible, preferably until I'm worm food, I'm not like, if an extenuating circumstance happens, an external stimulus happens that forces me to go because of survivability, right? What's the point of preparedness? Survivability. I'm moving. I'm up. We're out. Let's go. And to that end, like, it's been addressed, but I've had for a long time a bug out trailer, right? Loaded with some stuff, right? We got to go. What's the plan? Kids in the vehicle, trailer on the vehicle. We're up. And I've got places north, south, east, west that we can go to if it's an environmental factor, like the train, like a tornado, like a hurricane, whatever. And that's part of what we do at Grindstone. It's such good training. Like, you think you're going to bug out and live out of your rucksack? Do it. Do it. We do it all the time. You learn a ton of shit. Like, I thought I needed 15 pairs of socks. I actually need 3, right? And why do I have so many wipes? Wipes are friggin' heavy. I need some wipes, not all the wipes. And I don't have enough water, and coffee rules the world, and all these things, right? And your 19-inch long bug out survival bushcraft knife that weighs 4 pounds. It's like, you're going to cut your finger off while you're trying to open an MRE with it. Like, this shit is useless. You know, having a Spyderco in your pocket handles that, you know? And so, but the idea that we're never gonna bug out, we're never, like, don't tempt fate, dude. Don't say never. I'm never gonna do nothing, because that's usually the next thing that happens to you. And it's a myopic paradigm, to use my brother Saw's phrase. It's a myopic paradigm that people need to break out of. And they don't do it because people only prep up to the level of bad they're willing to contemplate, right? And so if you never think about what could come beyond that, you never prepare for that. So people only prepare up to, there's like, we should make a graph one day. Like, what are you prepping for? Like a stubbed toe, right? Like ice storm, right? Tornado, like Panamanian paratroopers, nukes on foreheads, solar flare, you know, like there's definitely
zombies. I'm prepping for zombies.
I think people prep for things that they don't think are really going to happen because they just want to have it's fun, right? It's the doomsday prepper thing, right? It's that kind of stuff.
It's this. Oh,
because
I put another weapons light on my rifle. Yeah.
It's because you don't have to exert energy. You don't have to be dirty and uncomfortable, right? They don't, like, it's just conversation online.
Yeah, I saw one of the best presentations about guns I've ever seen was at Jack Spirko's workshop last fall. And the dude shows a really super expensive rifle that has anything you can imagine on it. It can fold down. It can do all of these things. And he explains how he originally bought it for hunting. But then he thought, well, maybe I might need to defend myself at some point. I might need to carry this, so I need it to fold up. And he went through this long thing. And at the end of the day, he had spent thousands of dollars on this thing. And he said, you got to know your goal before you start, because, and he has his whole gun collection there. I mean, probably not his whole gun collection, but a collection of guns. He's like, this one's for hunting and this one's for self-defense. And the combined cost of these two is less than the one I never use. And I use these all the time.
Yep.
There's folks all over the world killing people with inexpensive guns.
Yeah.
You can buy a pair of $700 Cry battle pants. There's dudes killing people all over the place in dresses, all over the world.
So every time I train, I don't regret it, but it always takes me a minute to decide I'm ready to do another training course, because what usually happens in a training course is I get put under so much stress that it hurts. And so I have to decide I'm willing to hurt. And I think it's important to do that because then I know what I will do under stress. I don't think I've ever really been under extreme stress, but under a lot of stress. And I wonder how much of that keeps people from going, because I have to just tell myself, just do it again, because the more times I get exposed to this, the less it hurts.
That's
but
growth.
The first time it hurts the most.
That's growth.
Well, yeah. We've been sold this corporate lie that comfortable is good. Right? Everything should be comfortable and easy. You know, here's your pop this meal in the microwave, 3 minutes. Here's your dinner, right? The best couch on the market. Here's a robot that's going to sweep your floor. Everything is easy and comfortable and frictionless. And when everything's easy and comfortable and frictionless, to John's point, you never grow. And also, there's no fulfillment, there's no reward in that, right? Because you never know what you're made of until you go do shit that makes you find your own personal boundaries. And then you stretch those boundaries and you get bigger and better and stronger and faster and harder. And you're a better you than you were yesterday. And so there's this siren song of comfortability that's complete and utter bullshit. Like, to bring it full circle back around, talking earlier about, Christianity, right? We've been sold this idea that you're going to have a good life. If you just believe you'll have a good life, read that damn book. Show me one person that had an easy damn life in there. They're not in there. They didn't write any stories about those people. Every one of those people had a crazy, insane, difficult life, but it was good. It was good and hard, right? And so we conflate easy with good. They're not the same. Easy's not good. Good for me typically involves hardship, right? And at the end of the day, you feel like you've earned something. I've done something. Like, I'm going to drink this beer because I did all this other stuff. This one beer, right? I earned this peanut butter milk nitro stout beer that's badass. It's going down, right? Or like whatever it might be. Accomplishing goals is way more important than never having had goals in the first place. It's experiencing hardship, as long as it's done in a way that's controlled and safe, is good as compared to just living an easy life. And that's why there's so many zombie people walking around out there not knowing what to do with their life, suffering from all this man-made bullshit in their head, ate up by all these concepts and ideas and blah, 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 blah. I don't want to offend anybody, but there's a rooster.
I heard it. I'll offend them.
So, yeah, got an amen from the rooster. But people, Americans, most of us, even those of us that are crying about, they don't know, where their next paycheck's going to come from or what they're going to do, right? Like, we've still conflated easy and good. It's not supposed to be easy. Nothing worth doing is easy. Good comes from hardship. And the more hardship, the more you stress inoculate with hardship now, the better you're going to be able to perform later, right? And that's where good training comes in, is providing that pressure and accountability that creates that hardship in a controlled, safe environment so that you're afforded the opportunity to grow. You don't actually die, right? And that exposes your weak points, exposes your gaps. And now you can go back and reconstruct what just happened in your mind and go, I didn't know that was a thing. I was training some guys on the tag team yesterday. And one of the guys told us he was getting frustrated because he's in a group of civilians, mostly civilians, 3 tac dudes and 12 civilians. And he's like, I'm so used to working with other people that are completely squared away that I know if I go this way, they're going to go this way. I do this thing, they're going to do this thing. And it's a dance, and it's just perfectly orchestrated. And in between that first scenario where we failed and the second scenario where we succeeded, it occurred to me that that's not real life. I'm probably not going to be at the mall or at Walmart or wherever with the TAC team. It's going to be innocent bystanders, people standing around that don't know what the hell they're doing, that aren't listening to verbal commands, that aren't actually moving. And he's like, and that was a huge takeaway for me in training, is that the reality is I'm statistically most likely to need this training in a place where I'm not surrounded by competent people. And so having to deal with people that were, relatively incompetent, eye-opener. So
every time there's an active shooter, why are we able to see it? Because some dipshit stood there while there was an active shooter with multiple cameras taking video of that.
mm-hmm.
That is who we are surrounded by. It is literally bread and circuses. We are living the Hunger Games, right? They give you a little bit to appease people. There's nobody walks out of their door and an animal might eat them this morning. Shit, most of them have never lived with their water turned off, much less for 30 or 60 days because they didn't pay the bill. I think we could get everybody on this live right now to agree that in some form the government is doing insidious things, and whatever it is they're doing, whatever you believe, it is not in our best interest. But that is not most of the people you walk amongst. You want to have fun? Take Saturday night and go to fucking Walmart. Look around. You're going to see footy pajamas. You're going to see dirty diapers. You're going to see the craziest shit. That is who 90% of the population is. And now you talk about lowering EBT by $275. You take desperate, entitled people who don't have to earn things, people give it, and now try to take it away from them. Watch, you're going to see the fires lit. And it is not, you're going to be the bad guy, not those guys lighting the fires. It will be you who is the bad guy for defending yourself. Remove yourself and create distance from that.
Agree.
Well, we're rounded on 2 hours, Bear. Are we about the end of your time allotment?
We are, and my phone also informed me that I have 10% battery left.
Okay.
So, but it to be or not.
I can
this 3-day battery pack, man. 0 lemon. Get you one.
Roger that.
Awesome. Well, let's go once around the horn and we'll sign off. Let's start with you, Bear.
I don't know what you want me to say. I'm Bear from the internet. I do shit. YouTube channel. I sell first aid kits. I teach people how to use them. I'll be at Self-Reliance Festival in Camden, Tennessee here in a couple of weeks. And if you can go, you should go. It's an awesome event. I'll be there. We do lots of other stuff. We respond to natural disasters. We rescue and restore juvenile human trafficking survivors. We make sure that bad shit happens to bad people and good shit happens to good people. And I live on a homestead full of sheep and cows and people that I love. And it's an honor and a blessing to be able to spend time with you all today.
All right, John.
SOE Tactical Gear. We make nylon gear for good guys that kill bad guys all over the world. As a byproduct, we make products for lifestyle stuff. We sell to individual customers also. I have this YouTube page, this YouTube channel. I've got over 4,000 videos. We do a private membership. It's $1. And we put 10 hours of content, and we say things on the backside that we can't say publicly. I also do a live video every night at 9 o'clock. Jump in. I'll say some shit you don't like. I promise I'll say some shit you do like also. At the end of the video, though, you'll know exactly what it was I thought, and you can decide if you want to be involved with us or not.
And I just want to thank both of you for being on today and investing so much time in this conversation. Every time I'm on with you, I have this blank piece of paper and a pen because I know you're going to say something where I'm like, that's the thing. And I got 4 of them today. So thanks for that. And that's why I'm looking forward to seeing you in person, Bear, soon at Self-Reliance Festival. And John, I'll probably see you before then because we'll be getting set up for the festival. It's just so wonderful to see our communities get together and help each other grow. And you've both been mentors to me, even though you don't necessarily, I mean, I'm sure John knows it. Bear doesn't know it, but thank you for all you do. And we will see you soon.